Welcome to LFFL Primetime. Everything you need to know about the LFFL in 5 to 10 minutes. I should take the 5 minute out of here, shouldn't I? So, week 7 was fun. We had a lot of good games. I'm going to preview week 8 a little bit as well. Let's look at the original league. We have Andy beating Phil. We have Greg beating Eric. What that means is we have a four-way tie at the top because Phil and Eric were game up on Andy and Greg, and now they ain't anymore. Very cool stuff. We also had two nail biters. Miles, a 5-point win over Matt Merrill, whereas Todd was able to score a 2-point win over Bill, charging hard last night on Monday Night Football. Didn't get all the way there. We had too legit to quit. That's right. My one-game winning streak is officially over. Thanks for nothing, Josh. Beat me in the Super Bowl last year. Beats me again. Josh, have some pity on an old man. Got a busted up hand. I got gray in my beard. Have some pity, man. Have some pity. Your standings. I told you we have a four-way tie. Eric, Phil, Andy, and Greg all tied at the top at 5-2, battling out for that bye week. Miles in solid playoff position, 4-3. We have a tie between both Merrill brothers at 3-4, both Josh and Matt. Bill and Todd at 2-5. I am down there at 1-6. Week 7 the LFFL. Sorry, it's not my usual comprehensive write-up. My hand is impairing me a little bit from the keypad, but we do have Greg taking on Matt. Greg leads this series 16-12 all time. We have Eric taking on Bill. Bill, a 14-12 lead in that series. Finally, Andy taking on Miles. The only game with two teams over 500 record for both teams. Miles has an early 3-1 lead in that series. All three of those 5-2 teams have a chance to go to 6-2 against inferior opponents. Now, looking at this one down here on the bottom, normally a primetime matchup this would be. No two teams have met in the playoffs more times than Todd and I, 11 times in about 28 playoff seasons. We have met in the playoffs, which is awesome. This is a rematch of Super Bowl 16, 22, 26, 27. Three of those four won by Todd. Todd and I have actually met the last three playoffs. We met in the Super Bowl in 2020, Super Bowl in 2021, semifinals last year. Unfortunately, for me and Todd, I do not think we're meeting the playoffs this year. I don't think either of us are making the playoffs, considering our abysmal records. Todd, I do hold the 37-28 series lead over my good friend. LFL primetime matchup, though, has to be Phil versus Josh. Phil, of course, has been in this game like 4 weeks in a row. Phil has been a very good team all year long. Second in this league in scoring. Josh, 3-4 on a 2-game winning streak, is up to 4th in the league in scoring on the season. Josh has been very good, lost some hard games. His title, of course, the defending champion as well. Josh holds a 14-9 lead in the series, including wins in both 2022 and 2021 over Phil. But Phil has been installed as the early 12-point favorite. I kind of like Josh to keep the momentum going here, potentially spring the upset, according to Fantrax. LFFL 2, we had some fun games this week. Andy suffers his first loss of the season, meaning for the 32nd consecutive year, there will be no undefeated LFFL team. That is right. A 4-point loss to Greg. Nothing to be ashamed of, but a good number of points, but just didn't get the job done this week. In other action, look at this. Eric, 76-73 over Miles. What a high-scoring fun affair that was. Other winners, myself, Sean, and Bill. Looking at your standings, Andy does sit at the top still at 6-1. 1 game off of Eric, who is 5-2. Couple of 4-3 teams. Miles, Todd, Greg, all 4-3 still in the mix here. 3-4 starting a little dicey here, Phil and Bill, but we can get some wins together. Could get right back on this thing. 2-5 for myself, Sean, and the Merrills. I'm taking on Phil this week. We have Todd taking on the Merrill brothers, Sean taking on Miles, Bill taking on Andy, and Eric taking on Greg. LFFL 3, ouch of this loss for Bill this week. 110-118, the second high score of the week, gets him an L. This has always been my least favorite part of fantasy football, when you can have a really good score and have nothing to show for it. We had some really close games as well. Look at this. A 2-point win for Greg over Eric. A 5-point win for Matt Brennan over Phil. We have a 14-point win for Miles over Andy. Todd with a handy win over there. And then Sean, a 9-point win over Matt Merrill. So look at your standings. We have a 3-way tie at the top. Miles, Todd, Greg, all sitting pretty at 6-1 at this point in the season. I'm just a game back at 5-2, but still scoring points. Nothing to be too worried about for me. Couple of 4-3 teams, Eric and Bill holding down the final wildcard spots at this time. Matt, Brennan, and Phil hot on their trail at 3-4. Sean and Andy at 2-5. Matt at 1-6. Nate 0 for the season so far. We've never had a winless team. Nate trying to do that right here, apparently. Looking at your matchups this week, we've got a doozy down here on the bottom. Sean taking on me. Nate taking on Andy. Phil taking on Eric. Matt Brennan taking on Greg. Matt Merrill taking on Bill. But look at this. Miles and Todd getting after it this week. Fantrax says this currently is a 2-point game is all. Very good stuff. LFFL4, congratulations to Greg. Wins the main slate this week. His second win this season, his 22nd overall win. Touches out Eric by 2 points. And while Eric has not won yet this year, he has been second 4 times and third once in 7 weeks of play. That strong finishes will be reflected in the standings. Let's look at them right now. Look at that. Eric, all the way in second place, just 5 points shy of my leading total. Monday night, let's not skip Phil here. Give him his due. 108. Wins his showdown for the second showdown win of the year, his 6th overall showdown win. And I also want to highlight Jeremy. Both Jeremy has now finished second place. Let me start over this. Both Jeremy and Phil are actually leading the way with most top 2 finishes this year. Both have done 4 already in these showdowns. So very impressive from these two. As I said, I have a slight lead over Eric. Greg, just a point behind him. Matt Brennan, a point behind that. Miles, sitting in 5th place. Your LFFL 5, nothing much to see here. Your winners this week, myself, Phil, Greg, Sean, Andy. When I flip the slide, you'll be shocked to know Sean and Phil lead the way at 6 and 1. Greg and I at 5 and 2. Little space down here to Eric, Bill, and Miles, all at 3 and 4. Now, this league, remember, only 12-week regular season in this league. So we only have 5 left to play, and a 2-game lead is pretty commanding. So Eric and Bill and Miles can need to start winning some games rapidly to get in the next year. Bill has a chance this week, taking on me, a person who is in front of him. He's got an opportunity. Greg taking on Sean in a battle of teams in first place. And Liz, Eric has an opportunity this week, taking on Phil. So Eric and Bill can absolutely get right back in this thing this week. Todd taking on Andy, Nate taking on Miles. LFFL 6, no changes in your monthly leaders. No changes in the standings really either. The only real change is Nate jumps up from 7 to 5th, but your top 4 remain the same. Miles, still a solid lead at the top. Phil and Greg tied at 2nd at 5.1. Matt Brennan right behind at 5.3. Nate does make his move up to 6.1. LFFL 7, I'm sorry, I screwed up the elimination. It is not Greg. It is indeed Andy is the eliminated team. I told you yesterday that Greg wasn't a lock to get there. Greg only got there by like 6 points. Greg only got up to 142. There was an avenue where he wouldn't score a lot of points. The pass to Brandon Ayuk, late second, nice long pass to Brandon Ayuk, puts him over the top. Well done, Greg. Andy is your elimination 136, but look at who actually the closest survivor is actually Josh. The man who keeps on surviving. Nobody's better at this league than Josh Merrill is right here. Already eliminated Andy joins Matt Brandon, Sean, Matt Merrill, Jeremy Todd, and myself. LFFL 8. I maintain the lead over here, but Greg hops up into second place, a strong 179 point showing, with Brendan only having 101 points this week. Greg able to jump up in second place. Finally, we only had 2 upsets in the Sweet 16, the LFL 9. Only 2 out of 8. That's not too bad. And I will say this, there's 6 people came in with multiple teams. Only one of them survives with multiple teams. So we will have a lot of different faces going on here in your semifinals. In your quarterfinals. Your Elite 8. Let's look at the Cunningham region. That is right. Greg 2, the number 1 seed, does move on. A convincing win over the Greg 1 team, the 16 seed. Todd 1. This is the closest game of the week. Todd, a 3-point win over Miles over 3 weeks of play. That is totally awesome. Cam Akers got it done. He had about a 30-yard catch in the third quarter last night. That was the deciding factor for Todd. The 8 seed moves on over the 9 seed. Number 2 seed Casey survives a scare. Jeremy gave me all I can handle. Jeremy, one of the highest scores of the week. Definitely the highest now-winning score. The 15 seed goes by the wayside, but man, he battled hard at the end. And unfortunately for Jeremy, his 7 seed is upset by the 10 seed Matt. Our first upset right there. Matt Brennan pulls the upseed on number 7 seed. So I will be taking on Matt Brennan in a 2-10 Elite 8 game right there. The Merino division, that is right. It is only fitting. We have 2 Dolphin fans moving on right here. Phil 2, the 3 seed, is able to easily dispatch of Nate 1. I, as the 6 seed, was also easily able to dispatch of Nate 2, meaning we have an all Dolphins fan battle in the Merino division. Couldn't be any better. Number 3 seed Phil, number 6 seed Casey, and if you can't tell, I'm the only team that was able to advance both my teams. I get both my teams through. Now I get to take on Phil and Matt Brennan to see if I can advance 2 more. And then finally, the closest region overall was this one over here, I think. Eric and Bill played a fun one here. Number 4 seed Eric also moves on by about 17 points in the end. But look at this. Number 12 Bill pulls the upset on number 5 seed Phil. We talk about these 5-12 matchups all the time come tournament time. Holding true in this league is why I think every year we've had a 5-12 upset. I'd have to go back and check my data, but since you all aren't checking it, I'm just going to say it's true because I can do that. 4-12 seed coming up here. We have Eric taking on Bill in this one. So You are allowed one change again this week. So get that change into me right now. If you want to change a guy out, let me know who you want to change out. Remember, it just has to be in the same bracket. It's fine. Kickers and defenses count for any bracket. So feel free to make that change. I know I'll be making a change. So look for that, Phil and Matt Brandon. I'm coming after you with my big change this week. So hope you all enjoyed the football this weekend. A lot of fun football, unless you're a Dolphins fan or a Bills fan. Or frankly, oh, you know what? Washington stunk too, Bill. What is wrong with all our teams this weekend? Niners got upset. We should like teams that are actually good. Jeez, what a weekend. Hey, hopefully better to our fantasy teams and our real teams next week. So, hey, we'll talk to you guys very, very soon. See ya.